presented by Florida Home AC.
JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Pride of the Jaguars, Fred Taylor, bring you highlights and analysis from today's game. Jaguars Postgame is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by Everbank. Now, to get things started, here's JP Shadrick.
And welcome in. It's Jaguars Postgame presented by Florida Home AC. Call Florida Home AC today, official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Final score, Jaguars 25, Lions 7. Plenty to break down. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. No Fred Taylor this week. He'll be with us next week after the Dolphins game here at Everbank Stadium. We're inside the Hyundai Studios after a Jaguars win, and hey, a lot to get to here. Plenty of roster battles up for grabs. This was the reserve players' afternoon to really get a showcase today for some of those spots. The fourth running back, the fifth, sixth wide receiver, the third cornerback, all those in play. Some injuries popped up on the offensive line. That's the unfortunate part of today. But overall, what stands out the most, Mike, about today?
Well, I think the initial pressure that the Jaguars got defensively and the way the Jaguars' second-team defenders dominated the Detroit second-team offensive players today. I mean, it was just embarrassing for Detroit. They couldn't move the ball. They got less than 50 yards in the first half, so complete domination there. I thought as the game went on, JP, every time you look up, Nathan Rourke drops back, completes another pass. I mean, he was super efficient today, and if you didn't know, about contracts and the backstory, if you're just basing it on what you saw on the field today, I thought Nathan Rourke easily outplayed C.J. Beathard. Although Beathard had the touchdown toss, Rourke led a couple of touchdown drives as well. They just happened to result in rushing touchdowns at the end, but I thought he played very well.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Jaguars radio network. Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey after a Jaguars win 25-7. Well, if the backup quarterback controversy, if there is one, is the top story coming out of this game, that tells you the status of the Jaguars right now. The starters are all out today. Sounds like they'll get some time next week against the Dolphins. If you're on social media and going back and forth about that kind of situation, that's a good place for this team to be.
It is, but I mean, that's the kind of debates you're going to have when you don't play your starters, right? So you're looking at the reserves and where they stand in the pecking order. And look, I thought both Tank Bigsby and D'Ernest Johnson brought it today. Mm-hmm. I think Jermichael Hasty has a role on this team as a pass catcher. I think they like him in that role. But I think it's pretty clear what the running back room is going to look like. Look, D'Ernest Johnson is a guy who's had feature back games in the National Football League and acquitted himself very well. Bigsby continues a really impressive preseason here. It was nice to see Elijah Burks flash again because he is at times in that cluster of receivers been the one that stood out the most on the practice field, but it's so hard to draw ahead of anybody else. Tim Jones also had the big play on the 48-yard reception. Saw some, every penalty you hate to see. The Jags did knock it down a little bit compared to last week, but, Jones had the one that negated the big run. Cam Robinson had one. Kayvon Chason extended the drive. Now, fortunately, there's a scenario where the outcome doesn't matter, but they were able to overcome them. But, these are all guys that, I am listening to Jeff Loggeman and Tony Baselli down the stretch here, just kind of talk about, Cam's just been okay the last couple of weeks. And he's going against backup players right there. And I think clearly in their mind they're thinking, well, when Cam Robinson returns, he'll be one of our best five. I think it's really going to depend on how Walker Little and Ben Barch play in combination on that left side. I don't think that is written in stone right now, and I would think that Cam's probably still going to get some reps next week because you're not going to play your starters throughout the entirety, but it would be in his best interest to leave on a high note because they're not going to see him then for a month after. He'll still practice with them right up to the beginning of the regular season, but then you're not going to see him again for a month and be able to test him in these type situations. So I don't think that's written or chiseled in stone as much as we thought it was. I think it's still probably the most likely outcome, but it was interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, and I'm curious, to your point about Barch, he hasn't been in practice except for just a couple days. This was the first week.
Exactly.
So you haven't really seen a lot of him. Maybe we'll see him in the game this coming week against Miami, and then you know what he was doing at the start of last season before the injury. So
that's the big thing, right?
10 months
he won
after
that
now.
job.
Yeah,
JP.
he did.
That when he wasn't really expected to, and then he played well. So yeah, I mean, they're all going to have a chance to, kind of solidify those roles. Greg Jr.
Another big day. A takeaway for him. Ouachita Baptist folks are going nuts over him because now a couple years in and finally making some plays in the preseason and in a big moment to do it. So always be around the ball. That's never a bad policy.
Not at all. And we talked at halftime about Jeremiah Ledbetter, who was all over the place in the early going in this game. But one guy we didn't mention at the half was Caleb Johnson, who has a very solid first half, too. He was around the football. He had 5 tackles in the game, had the fumble recovery, and he got bit by the turf monster a little bit there. I don't know if he was going to outrace the field, but nonetheless, it was a nice big play for him to make.
All right, plenty to get to. The comments of head coach Doug Peterson coming up from Detroit after a Jaguars win in preseason week 2, 25-7 the final score. And again, Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC. Call Florida Home AC today, official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is Jaguars postgame on Jaguars Radio.
Maximize your energy savings with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Florida Home Air Conditioning today. Get up to $1,750 back and a free Nest thermostat when Florida Home buys back your old inefficient HVAC system. Expert technicians and flexible payment options are great reasons to call Florida Home today. Florida Home Air Conditioning, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit FloridaHomeAC.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number CMC 1250399, CFC 1430664, EC 130-08557.
FloridaHomeAC.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of the 2023 Chevy Silverado's 2.7-liter high-output turbo engine, delivering 430 pounds per foot of torque with no compromised durability. Impressive power, whether you're helping friends move or just moving some friends.
Thanks!
This is the sound of a family with plenty of rear seat room to enjoy the ride. And most importantly, this is the sound of you heading to your local Chevy dealer today for a test drive. Find your Silverado and find new roads. Chevrolet.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC continues. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. Fred Taylor back with us next week. We're inside the Hyundai Studios at Everbank Stadium. The Jaguars and the Dolphins coming up in preseason week 3, a week from today. 7 o'clock kick next week. The Jaguars get a win today, though, in Detroit. 25-7 the final score. Tank Bigsby, 13 carries, 70 yards, leading the way again. Dearness Johnson, 6 for 36. We touched on some of those receivers. Cooks a couple catches, 69 yards. Tim Jones had 1 for 48, just past the defender's ear hole, and made a great play on it after a holding call. Defensively, a few guys standing out as well. It was a backups day, and the starters, for the most part, got rest today to get ready for next week's dress rehearsal. And, hey, a lot of good work put in on the practice field this week from the starters in Detroit. They got the game off, but a big moment for a lot of these guys trying to make this 53. We mentioned some of those battles, some of those position groups there. The
Exactly. Okay.
Overall assessment today?
Good. Good. Wow, this is loud. I thought, because we played so many of our younger, backup and even some of those third-string guys today, that I thought they played really hard. They played physical. It was good to see. It wasn't perfect, but really felt like overall, offense, defense, did a nice job. Did a nice job today.
You just felt like you had enough out Wednesday and Thursday that you wanted to see the reserve and the
Exactly. Training camp's long and it's tough and hard and physical, and there's obviously things that are going to happen, and unfortunately it happened today and with some injuries, but I just wanted our young guys to get a really good opportunity to compete, to play, and so we can evaluate properly.
Do you know anything about the offensive linemen with him? Do you have an update on those guys yet?
Cooper Hodges, I believe it's his patella, so we'll see. We'll get MRIs and X-rays and stuff. We'll probably have a better update, tomorrow or the next day with him. Brewer, they were checking him, with his left shoulder, possibly, situation there. So we'll see where he's at. I think he's going to be okay, but again, we'll find out here after this meeting. And Darryl just, again, it was his shoulder, but he battled through it and played really well.
Was it saying that with the patchwork offensive line, you're moving guys all over the place, you round out 0.7 per carry today, so somebody did something.
Yeah, hats off to Phil Rauscher, our offensive line coach. Did a nice job of keeping that mix in there, and it's just all about preparation. I talk to our guys a lot about the preparation part of it, and they do a really good job of coaching those guys up, and this is why you see, and why we like to have versatility in the offensive line. Tackles need to play guards need to move outside, or they got to play left and right, and we were able to do that with some of our offensive line pieces, and those guys did a nice job.
Coach, is there a competition for the number 2 quarterback job on your team?
No. I thought Nathan did well again today. A couple touchdown drives there, and he's done a nice job, and exactly what we asked him to do. CJ's our number 2, and obviously Trevor number 1.
What do you like about CJ?
I like the way CJ operates. I like the way his mental capacity, the way he thinks. He sees the field extremely well. He's tough, and you saw some of the athleticism today, the movement skills and stuff with him, and he throws a really good football, and he played well today. Led us into a couple of field goal drives there. Does a nice job for us.
For a second week, you had a good performance out of the depth generally. Again, better feeling this time last year.
Yeah, I think we're in a better position. We do have more depth, and that's a good thing. And it creates the competition that you want, and it creates the competition even for the starter. And the starters are out there looking, and they're watching the same game, and they're seeing these players. So it motivates the starter too. So there's an underlying message sometimes with that. But yeah, the young guys played well. We still got a couple weeks of training camp left, and one more preseason game. So a lot of football still ahead.
Observation at all on pass rush and some of those young guys that we've been talking about. Sear had one pass. Jordan Smith had a couple.
Yeah, I thought both those guys. Jordan off the edge. Sear. Tyler Lacey had some good push. Ledbetter, a veteran player, but Ledbetter stepped up big. So I thought the younger guys really did a nice job. In those passing situations, and getting the quarterback down on the ground.
What does it mean for Tank to get used to being productive in your system this season?
He still has some room to grow, obviously, and there's some things that we can show him on tape, and he's just going to continue to get better. And we wanted to see extensive reps with him today. And again, this is the first time that some of these guys have played this much football. So you see the physicality, their conditioning, the mental capacity. But I thought he did some really good things for us, and some things we can correct and just continue to improve.
Return game, they got a couple of big returns. Is that just a function of lots of young guys fitting in on special teams?
Yes and no. Some of it is by design. We want to see our guys cover, so we ask our kickers to make them return it, kick it high, make it return. We want to see them cover, right? I mean, that's an important part of the game. So some of it's by design, to do it that way, and we have to get better. Some of our young guys need to improve there, and some of these guys, it's the first time, to cover kicks, and it's a big part of our football game, and we do have to improve there.
How important was it for you to get Cam and Walker working in that combination?
I think it was very important. If that's the route we choose to go, it's good for those two guys to get work together.
So you see 10 series from Nathan Rourke. How would you overall? What stood out to you about him seeing him in live NFL action?
I just like his poise. His poise in the pocket. Accurate passer. I'm sure there's some throws he would want back, but for the most part, an accurate thrower. Made a heck of a throw, a couple back shoulder throws on the sideline, a slant throw on a third down. So and the toughness aspect of it. He's not afraid to pull the ball down and run, and those are all things that I appreciate about him and the effort and the leadership that he provides. All right, thanks, guys. Thank you.
Head coach Doug Peterson has wrapped his postgame press conference. He is heading down the hall and for field to catch up with Kai Stevens. We'll throw out there in just a moment to get the thoughts of the Jaguars head coach. Much better in the penalty department today overall. There were a couple of key ones, but the Jags, after 13 last week, with only 4 penalties, 31 yards today. I'm sure we'll hear from head coach Doug Peterson about that and much more in a winning performance. The head coach with Kai Stevens. Kai?
Thanks, guys. Head coach Doug Peterson here with me. We saw earlier this week a lot of what you can get done in a joint practice. What did you see out of them to say, I don't need to see the starters in this game because we got some quality reps against the Lions earlier this week?
Yeah, the biggest thing is the amount of reps the guys got during the week. It's usually around this week 2 preseason that you just want to rest your starters and kind of get them in a frame of mind that they have to get prepared for next week. I want to play them a little bit more next week and then get them 2 weeks later to our opener. So the way they executed this week, the way they handled themselves, the poise, even when it got a little chippy out there on the field, the way they were able to control their emotions, those are all things that as a head coach lead you to believe that, our team's in a good place. We got good leadership. They handle it. And so you don't really need to see them, in games like this.
We talked last week about seeing consistency from those younger defensive players, and we saw a lot of them in action today. Is there anyone that kind of jumped out to you, or as a whole, were you impressed with what they were able to do?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys. I think starting up front with the defensive line, I think, Yazir had a really good day. Tyler Lacey had some good push in there. Jordan Smith, another, young player coming off an injury a year ago. Christian Braswell, had a couple of PBUs. Out there, I thought Greg Jr. Played well at the nickel spot today. Caleb had a nice break up there at the end of the game. So there's some young guys that are starting to show. Devod Wilson is another one. I mean, so there's enough competition going on at some of these spots that it's good to see from the young players.
Offensive line was a strength coming into training camp. Some injuries there. Is there some concern with what was a strength now? Maybe we got some people we got to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, obviously injury's part of it. We'll see where Cooper is and Brewer and Darrell Wilson played through a little bit of a shoulder today and battled through. So, we still have a couple of days before we play another football game. But I'm hoping that if the starters are ready to go, they can go next week and maybe rest these guys. Give them their turn to kind of rest. But yeah, it's something we'll take a look at when we get back, and if you need to bring in somebody, you bring in somebody, and just evaluate the whole situation.
For that last game against Miami, have you made a decision how much you want to see of the starters?
I'd like to really kind of maybe go 2 quarters with the starters, get them lathered up a little bit, as they say. Have them prepare like it's a regular season game. I think it's important that we do that. Obviously, if they play well, you get them out. If they struggle, you let them go a little bit. So, nothing's in stone yet, but that's kind of the direction I want to go.
Great, thanks, Doug. We'll see you back in Florida.
Thank you.
Doug Peterson, Jaguars head coach, with Kai Stevens in Detroit after a Jaguars win, Mike.
And during his press conference, Doug Peterson apparently made a definitive statement that C.J. Beathard is the backup, Nathan Rourke is the number 3. So his
There you
opinion
have
is the only one that matters
right.
in this. I just think the play of Nathan Rourke, I think if you put it in the context of put aside all the intangibles and all the stuff that goes with it, who played better today? I thought it was clearly Rourke. Again, there's more that goes into it than that, but since we're talking about it, I saw that tweet from Mike DeRocco, who was listening in on that.
There you have it. Clear answer. Definitive.
He's the guy who has the vote. There's only one vote, JP, unlike our player of the game balloting.
Case closed. I think we figured it out. Plenty more ahead. We are back in just a moment in the Hyundai Studios with a Kingfish Pest Control defensive play of the game after a Jaguars win 25-7. It's Jaguars postgame on Jaguars Radio.
Maximize your energy savings with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Florida Home Air Conditioning today. Get up to $1,750 back and a free Nest thermostat when Florida Home buys back your old inefficient HVAC system. Expert technicians and flexible payment options are great reasons to call Florida Home today. Florida Home Air Conditioning, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit FloridaHomeAC.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number CMC 1250399, CFC 1430664, EC 130-08557.
FloridaHomeAC.com.
Something happens when you begin to believe. What seems way off in the distance gets closer.
You focus on what needs to get done, and you'll let nothing get in your way.
Next year becomes this year, and maybe next time becomes now.
A whole city will rally behind you and begin to believe too.
Because when you believe, the unbelievable can happen. We believe in justice for everyone, and we believe we're the attorneys to help people get it. Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jaguars. Jacksonville.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 24-6, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey ham, melted cheddar and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville after a Jags win in Detroit. 25-7 the final. Jaguars over the Lions. PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. It's time now for the Kingfish Pest Control defensive play of the game. A forced fumble and a lengthy return.
They hit him. The ball's on the ground and picked up by the Jaguars. They're running it back. 40, 35, 30. What a job that time. Caleb Johnson picked it up and ran it back all the way inside the 30-yard line of the Detroit Lions.
Jeremiah Ledbetter with a big day on the defensive line. Breaks through the line and then hits Teddy Bridgewater as he's trying to hand the ball off. It's picked up by Johnson. He rumbles down, trips up on the Lions logo near midfield, and slows down his momentum. Still would have been caught anyway. Nice return, but one of a couple takeaways for the Jaguars defense today, and that is the Kingfish Pest Control defensive play of the game. Let the pros tackle the pests in your home by going to kingfishpest.com. That's kingfishpest.com. Jeremiah Ledbetter, guy who's been around the league a little bit but has been off and on practice squads most of his career. I mean, he was a 2017 draft pick. He's been around for a minute, but just really hasn't been able to break through anywhere. He was on the practice squad here and late last season. Well, what a day today for him. All over the tackle sheet, the score sheet, everything you want was all around the football, and put together a really nice day on defense. Ledbetter with 5 tackles, a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and does now get credit for a forced fumble.
He did, okay.
Yeah, they changed that. It was originally an aborted handoff, but then they, of course, reviewed that and gave him the forced fumble on that exchange. Well done for Ledbetter.
Yeah, look, and this is a position group where you're going to rotate guys. So your backups play there, and, Adam Gotsis not playing today, which indicates his position in the pecking order. But, I mean, Ledbetter's going out there and flashing. He's putting good film out there, and I'm sure when they review it, when they get back to town, he's going to stand out. And, anytime you're in the midst of, we talked about with Greg Jr., in the midst of creating turnovers, that's really going to get this coaching staff's attention because that's something that they're really focusing on doing a better job of this year, making some easier short fields, easier opportunities for the offense.
Ledbetter, a former Lion, by the way. He was a Lions draft pick.
Big revenge game.
Sixth rounder. The Ledbetter revenge game today in Detroit at Ford Field. The defensive play of the game, one of a couple takeaways, and the Jaguars win today over the Lions 25-7. We're back in a moment, an Everbank Stats Check. When we return, it's Jaguars postgame on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Jaguars fans, Everbank is building its future on the partnership and the performance you know and trust. Take advantage of high-yield savings solutions with money market, online savings, CDs, and more. Visit everbank.com/Jaguars today for your financial advantage. Everbank, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
Hear that? That's the sound of the 2023 Chevy Silverado's 2.7-liter high-output turbo engine, delivering 430 pounds per foot of torque with no compromised durability. Impressive power, whether you're helping friends move or just moving some friends.
Thanks!
This is the sound of a family with plenty of rear seat room to enjoy the ride. And most importantly, this is the sound of you heading to your local Chevy dealer today for a test drive. Find your Silverado and find new roads. Chevrolet.
Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC continues. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville after a Jags win in Detroit. Jaguars 25, Lions 7. A look at the Everbank final stats. In this one, the Jaguars dominating most areas today. Total yardage 399 to 131 in favor of the Jags. First downs, Jags had 22, Lions with 9. Jaguars offense 5 of 13 on third down. Detroit finished 1 of 12 on third down for the day. Rushing yardage, 145 for the Jaguars, 35 for Detroit. Passing net, 254 for the Jags, 96 for the Lions. Much improved area this week. Penalties, 4 for 31 yards for the Jags, 5 for 40 yards against the Lions. The Jaguars gave it up one time. The Lions turned it over twice. And the time of possession in favor of the Jags, 37 minutes, 32 seconds in the game. They held it. The Jaguars outgaining Detroit by a large margin today. The defense stood up tall and did some good things and slowed down the Detroit. So many 3-and-outs for the Lions today, almost too many to count.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, you look at these two numbers, JP. Average per attempt, 3.9 yards passing. Average per rush, 1.8 yards. So the Jags defense did a phenomenal job. And, yeah, they're going against backups, but they are backups. And all you can do is, shut down the guys across from you. That's the kind of dominant performance you want to see. Individually, C.J. Beathard, 12 out of 20 for 138 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Was sacked twice. Quarterback rating is 76.7. Nathan Rourke, 10 out of 12 for 121 yards. No touchdowns or interceptions, sacked once, and a quarterback rating of 108.7. Tank Bigsby continued his outstanding offseason since the Jags drafted him in the third round, averaging 5.4 yards a pop today on 13 carries, good for 70 yards. Dearness Johnson, no slouch himself, averaging 6 yards a carry on those 6 carries he got, and 2 of those resulted in him falling into the end zone for touchdowns. Elijah Cooks led the way with 69 yards on 2 grabs. Tim Jones had the long catch today of 48, topping Cooks' best by a single yard. 3 players, Seth Williams, Brenton Strange, and Oliver Martin, had 3 receptions to lead the Jaguars today. Of course, Parker Washington, the receiving touchdown on his only reception, that coming 15 yards from C.J. Beathard. Caleb Johnson and led the way with 6 total tackles for this team. Most of those were assists, but also had the fumble recovery. Jeremiah Ledbetter, we talked about the game that he had with the sack, the forced fumble, couple of quarterback hits. I mean, look, I like to look at what Caleb Von Chason did. He didn't really record much of a stat. He had 1 quarterback hit officially, but early on, around the football a bunch, but couldn't close. I would be fascinated to be in those film sessions, and are they praising him for the penetration and the disruption he caused, or are they saying, hey, man, at some point you got to finish this guy off? And, of course, he had the big offsides penalty as well. And we saw Brendan McManus kicking for the Jags for the first time in the preseason. 2 field goal attempts. He was perfect on the day.
Fine. McCourt missed an extra point.
He did.
And unfortunately,
that battle's not really a battle.
It's not a battle.
No.
There's no battle.
No matter what, McCourt could go out and kick 6 field goals today, and it wouldn't really impact
McManus
anything.
is the kicker. Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you have it. The stats check in the books. The Jaguars get a win in Detroit, 25-7, the final score. Defense very good today. The offense had their moments, but a lot of big position battles. We'll break some of those down a little bit more moving ahead. We're back in a moment, though, with the Jaguars Radio Network Player of the Game voting. After a Jaguars win, it's Jaguars Postgame on Jaguars Radio.
Maximize your energy savings with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Florida Home Air Conditioning today. Get up to $1,750 back and a free Nest thermostat when Florida Home buys back your old inefficient HVAC system. Expert technicians and flexible payment options are great reasons to call Florida Home today. Florida Home Air Conditioning, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit FloridaHomeAC.com for details, terms, and conditions. License number CMC 1250399, CFC 1430664, EC 130-08557.
FloridaHomeAC.com.
Don't make a bad call when it comes to servicing your home. Cooling off with a baby pool in the house to fix your air conditioning problem is a bad call. Trying to catch a wave in a flooded bathroom is a bad call. Using a burning electrical panel to make s'mores is a bad call. The next time something goes wrong, make a good call to Donovan.
Whether you need air, electric, or plumbing service, Donovan is always a good call. It's why we've been trusted by our customers for almost 40 years and why you can trust us to deliver fast, reliable service to your home. Donovan, always a good call.
Visit DonovanAC.com today.
Hear that? That's the sound of the 2023 Chevy Silverado's 2.7-liter high-output turbo engine, delivering 430 pounds per foot of torque with no compromised durability. Impressive power, whether you're helping friends move or just moving some friends.
Thanks!
This is the sound of a family with plenty of rear seat room to enjoy the ride. And most importantly, this is the sound of you heading to your local Chevy dealer today for a test drive. Find your Silverado and find new roads. Chevrolet.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC. Call Florida Home AC today, official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville. Jaguars win at 25-7 over the Lions. And it's time for the Jaguars Radio Network Player of the Game voting. I get a vote. Mike gets a vote. Fred Taylor would get a vote and a half to break any ties. He's not here today. He'll be here next week. Tony Smith will take his vote and a half today.
All
I'm
right.
going to start.
Yes.
How about that?
Let's do it.
This was a pretty good day for the running game, right? Tank Bigsby had a nice day at the office again. Dearness Johnson had moments, but this was a defensive day for the Jaguars backups and really setting the tone early. Jeremiah Ledbetter. He finished the day with 5 tackles, had a sack, 2 quarterback hits, and the forced fumble. I don't know what else you have to do, but he's my vote for player of the game.
All right. Since there is no great monetary prize attached to this or anything like this, I'm going to set up the drama because I do think Jeremiah Ledbetter had a fantastic game, and he did set the tone very early, right from the outset in this contest. But I don't know what much more Dearness Johnson could do, averaging 6 yards a carry. Had a terrific one-handed reception that, it didn't go anywhere, but it showed really good hands, caught a couple of passes today, and scored those 2 touchdowns. Still the name of the game, put the ball in the end zone. Also had a tackle on special teams today as well. So doing a little bit of everything. So I'll give a nod to Dearness Johnson for his performance today.
Tony Smith.
It feels almost odd to say this, but I'll say it to preface my pick for this. We were a heartbeat away from Kaylavon Chasen running away with the player of the game today if he had managed to get those 2 sacks to the ground.
Sure.
He didn't. So he just had kind of he touched the quarterback a couple times today. I'm with you, JP. I think it is Ledbetter, had the big fumble force, was in the backfield during basically the whole time he was on the field for that defense today. Ledbetter gets my player of the game vote.
There it is, by
Not
vote.
A surprise.
Yeah,
Not a
Jeremiah
surprise.
Ledbetter, 5 tackles, a sack, 2 quarterback hits, a forced fumble. Big day for the big defensive lineman, and he is the Jaguars Radio Network Player of the Game. If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150. Loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between, this truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Baptist Health Injury Report. When we return, Jaguars over the Lions 25-7 in preseason week 2. This is Jaguars postgame on Jaguars Radio.
Maximize your energy savings with a new energy-efficient heating and cooling system from Florida Home Air Conditioning today. Get up to $1,750 back and a free Nest thermostat when Florida Home buys back your old inefficient HVAC system. Expert technicians and flexible payment options are great reasons to call Florida Home today. Florida Home Air Conditioning, the official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit FloridaHomeAC.com for details, terms, and conditions.
License number CMC 1250399, CFC 1430664, EC 130-08557.
FloridaHomeAC.com.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
When it comes to water, choose our team, the winning team. Choose CGC Water Treatment. CGC Water Treatment works, and it works for DG too, former Jags QB, David Garrard.
If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Discover the Kinetico difference.
Call CGC Water Treatment at 844-CGC-JAGS or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and your local independent Kinetico dealers.
Hey, it's Salem from Travel Camp RV, the official RV dealer of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wanted to personally invite you to come shop with us. With locations throughout the Southeast, we're likely not far from you. We offer the nation's top RV brands. You can expect value pricing from the get-go and guaranteed best financing options. You can also find us online at travelcamp.com. Our mission is simple, to help more families make more great memories in an RV. Travel Camp RV. We've had the pleasure of doing this since 1982.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your Workforce Solutions Reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
America, it's time to gear up and get out there in a new Ford vehicle. And it all starts at your local Ford dealer during the Discover Summer Sales Event. Choose from a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs equipped with the tech and comfort you need to discover your best summer ever. With a large inventory in stock, now is the best time to trade in, trade up, and discover summer with Ford. This is your time to discover summer at your local Ford dealer.
Jaguars postgame is presented by Florida Home AC. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville after a Jags win in Detroit, 25-7 over the Lions. The injury report is presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, a couple of offensive linemen on the list today, and Cooper Hodges, the one that is most concerning. He was injured on a field goal attempt when he was in on special teams. They were looking at his right knee. He had it braced up and then was carted off the field. Obviously did not return in the game. He was having a really good camp, draft pick out of Appalachian State from Baker County, right outside of Jacksonville, and a fan favorite at training camp. He would do the tugboat tumble before practice, the cartwheel to get the fans going and the team going, and really had become an up-and-coming player really in this training camp. Let's see and hope for the best for him. No official word as of right now what's going on with him. Brewer, the offensive lineman, Chandler Brewer, a fourth-year player out of Middle Tennessee State with a shoulder issue, first drive of the third quarter. Blake Hance was in the tent at one point in the second quarter on the offensive line, but was later out of the tent and had a thumbs-up signal, which is a good sign. That just adds on to what happened on the offensive line this week. Josh Wells is down for an unknown amount of time, and Tyler Shatley hasn't practiced for about a week and a half after the AFib episode. Ben Bart's just back to the practice field this week, coming off a major knee injury, and that's about 10 months ago now. And then Anton Harrison is playing through a shoulder thing in practice. He's wearing a harness on that right shoulder. We'll see what happens with him moving ahead, but that's a lot happening in a short amount of time on the offensive line.
Yeah, you're right about that, and that was, if there was an area of concern on the offense, it would be that. I mean, at least compared to the strength you feel they have in the other groups there. By the way, our own Kai Stevens had tweeted out about 25 minutes ago that Hodges' injury is to his patella and that he'll undergo further testing when the team gets back to Jacksonville.
Okay, all right.
You know. That's what we know. Okay. We're not going to diagnose it beyond that. That's I'm sure what she's hearing on the scene in Detroit.
All right, so there's the injury report presented by Baptist Health, and the final score is Jaguars 25 and Lions 7. When we return, a preview of next week. Yes, the Jags are home. They'll open up the bank for the one preseason game Saturday, a week from today. The Dolphins come to town. It's Jaguars postgame on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Hey, Jags fans, Everbank is driven by performance, strength, and security. Start building your legacy today with Everbank's Yield Pledge accounts, all of which deliver a yield in the top 5% of competitive accounts nationwide. Visit everbank.com/Jaguars for your earned advantage. Everbank, member FDIC, and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Everyone circle up. I know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 24-6, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
Jaguars postgame presented by Florida Home AC. Call Florida Home AC today, official air conditioning partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You might have needed them the last couple weeks. It's been warm in Jacksonville. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at Everbank Stadium. The Jaguars with a win today in Detroit, 25-7. Strong defensive performance today. And the offense had their moments in this game, played well, and there was a few position battles that were really up for grabs today. Not many of the starters got time at all. Only Walker Little, who moved to left guard today to begin the game, was one of the regular starters. Cam Robinson played left tackle. Those were really the only two guys. And everybody else fighting for roster spots today. Next week, though, we heard Doug Peterson tell Kai Stevens a moment ago, he's planning on a couple of quarters for the starters against the Miami Dolphins. It's a 7 o'clock kickoff here at the bank Saturday night. The one preseason home game for the Jaguars and an in-state battle of I-95. The Dolphins coming to town, and hey, it'll be good to see. A dress rehearsal week, probably a very little bit of game planning just to get some in, I think, and then, hey, roll the ball out and see what the starters have. And you heard Doug say it again. If they struggle a little bit, keep them out there. If they're doing well, it's still nothing set in stone. It's a little too early, but they will get time.
Yeah, look, if they go out and go 3 for 3 on touchdown drives and they're, 3 minutes into the second quarter, that's probably it, right? It depends on the quality of work you get in, but they want to get a little time for them. I think this is the way to do it, JP. And again, whatever Doug Peterson goes with, I think most people are going to trust based on his track record of getting teams ready. But you have this enhanced practice this week, and then you can rest your guys. But, man, if they don't play the starters next week, it's going to be such a long period of time before those guys have had live reps against an opponent that's out to do you no good. And so whatever they get next week versus the Dolphins, I would expect that Tua Tagovailoa and company will play a little bit as well. Miami's playing Houston right now, and Tua, I think, a series in this game. So I would expect that you're going to see the Miami first-team guys give the Jags a pretty good test next week. And I think the question we're going to be watching, the major question we're going to be watching this week is the health of that offensive line, as you pointed out a few times. Right now, you can look at it and say, hey, at any given time, we could have a combination of Cam Robinson and Walker Little and Anton Harrison and Brandon Sheriff and Fortner all out there, and you feel good about that. But, boy, really, Josh Wells is out for a while with an unspecified injury. What is a while? And while he's not, among the best tackles in the league, he's an experienced seasoned guy who's not going to be overwhelmed by having to go in and play if necessary. Yeah. So it is becoming a bit of an issue right now. Hopefully Tyler Shatley is able to get back in the mix sooner rather than later, and Ben Barch is up to speed where they feel like they can get a quarter and a half out of him next week.
Fortunate thing, I mean, you know what Shatley is. If he's been in the league for 10 years.
He's a Swiss Army knife.
You know what he can do. You've seen it firsthand. There's no real guessing with him.
Right.
So.
It's not that so much as like I want him to have as many bodies available to protect Trevor Lawrence under any set of circumstances as necessary.
We'll see what happens. We'll see how they reassess when they get home tonight. And day off for the players tomorrow, then back at it on Monday ahead of this preseason Week 3 game. And we'll go on the air on the network at 6 o'clock. Tickets available, 633-2000, Jaguars.com/tickets. Prime time at the bank.
Man, this is a great opportunity, right? We talk about it all the time. There's so many people that have never been to see them play in the stadium. Well, now you've got a team that's actually – got expectations, and you feel it's very talented, and you're taking care of business in the preseason. You get your one home game. You know the starters are going to play extended minutes here. There are some position battles on the line. It's a great tune-up, and because then it'll be 3 weeks before they're back playing in this stadium against Kansas City. So come on out and enjoy everything that's going on with Jaguar football right now.
For those on our flagship station, 1010XL in Jacksonville, stick around. The Scoreboard Show is next. We'll take your calls at 355-NFL-1. VP of Production, Patrick Cavanaugh. Executive Producer, Dave DeCandis. Manager of Radio, Joe Fortunato. Linda Fortunato and Tony Smith. And Donna Murphy are our studio producers. Brent Reber, Trent Padilla, Gabby Dalton, David Cho, Max Hockman producing video for Jaguars.com. William Pease handles the podcast. Kate Waskey on advertising. For our entire crew, Mike Dempsey and Kai Stevens back in Detroit, I'm JP Shadrick saying good night. Final score, Jaguars 25, Lions 7 on the Jaguars Radio Network.
The Jaguars Scoreboard Show. This is your chance, Jaguars fans, to sound off about today's game. Now, waiting to hear from you, here are Mike Dempsey, Bucky Brooks, and JP Shadrick.
Welcome in, Scoreboard. Jaguars win it 25-7 over the Lions. Chalk another one up for the Jags.
21 more of those in you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, one more in the preseason, 17 regular season, and I'm going to presume if we're 17-0 that the first seed bye is coming to Jacksonville. So
Gotta have
3 playoff games to win the Lombardi.
I've already penciled it in.
Excellent. So a little facetious on that front, but look, it does feel better to go out there and have your backups beat their backups. I mean, we've kind of, made excuses, but try to come up with positives, storylines in recent years when it's gone the complete opposite of this. So, again, the depth of the roster is showing up. It's a much more competitive roster than they've had for years and years. But, again, JP, it just sometimes seems to go this way when you get a little cluster of injuries. Sometimes they all hit one position group or seem to. The frontline guys, for the most part, have escaped it. All the AFib episode with Tyler Shatley, and Barch has been coming back from an injury. But in terms of new injuries, it's mostly been to the backups, but we're talking about the backups that are expected to make this football team.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's your first level of depth here.
355-NFL-1, the number 355-6351. We'll take your calls coming up. Jaguars with plenty of position battles and some younger guys having really nice outings today. I mean, let's start at wide receiver. That's really a spot that's going to be up for grabs that, as Doug Peterson probably would put it, is probably the 5th receiver spot. The 6th guy is Parker Washington.
Right.
1 through 4 pretty much done, the big 3, and then Jamal Agnew, who claimed himself I want to be the best number 4 receiver in the league. He gets it. So there's really one true spot that is open. There's a handful of guys who really had nice outings again today that are vying for that position. Special teams, obviously, their performance as gunners will be key. What else can they contribute on special teams? But in the pass-catching department, Seth Williams had a big day today, 3 for 36. Martin had 3 catches, not a lot of yardage. But Cooks was big, 2 for 69, including a 47-yarder. a lot of these guys are making plays and doing good things on the field when it matters, when the lights are on.
I think when we came into the game, we assumed Tim Jones probably has a slight edge.
He's the incumbent.
Right, he's the incumbent, and I thought he had a couple of standout plays last week on top of that. Today, he started off with a negative play with the holding penalty. Sometimes, you look at that, and I don't know if it would have gone this way, but sometimes, there's a hold, but if they don't do it, their guy's going to get blown up. And, maybe Tank Bigsby takes a huge hit there.
It's a good hold.
Otherwise. And, maybe it wasn't – I don't know if it's a good hold, but yes. But the point is, C.J. Beathard threw him a ball that was it had to be perfectly timed to catch that, and he made a 48-yard play immediately after, and it kind of able to erase that from your mind. But Elijah Cook showed up in a much bigger way than he did last week. I thought Seth Williams looked good, and he is just that really physical, rugged type out there, and you see him catching the ball over the middle and bringing, it's taken multiple guys to bring him to the ground. I thought, pretty quiet game for Jacob Harris. He did have the one catch on 3 targets for 23 yards, but he made the highlight catch last week. And, Kevin Austin Jr., I think, has fallen to the bottom of this list. He struggled last week. He had 1 catch for 3 yards this week. He does look good on the practice field, but it's no more so than any of these other guys that we're talking about.
Plenty to get to. We'll come back and discuss the defensive performance as well. The running backs had a big day. The backup quarterback position was a question from fans on social that was answered by the head coach after the game. We'll get to that.
Pretty definitively.
Yes, we'll get to that coming up as well. And your calls, 355-NFL-1, 355-6351. This is the Scoreboard Show on Jaguars Radio.
Jaguars fans, are you tired of being late to the game because you're stuck in traffic or circling the lot looking for a parking spot? Join the thousands of other Jags fans who already know the smartest way to get to Everbank Stadium is on JTA's Game Day Express. Shuttles run from various locations around Jacksonville, including the Kings Avenue parking garage near downtown. Buy single game or season passes exclusively on the MyJTA mobile app starting at just $10. The JTA Game Day Express. It's like winning before the game even starts.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. Watch them win in Houston and Nashville. All the other Jaguars games are just one short connection away. And if airport parking has you stressed, be sure to visit the Jax Airport website before traveling to the terminal. On it, you'll find information about the status of on-airport parking in real time. See if your favorite areas are available or if you need to call an audible. Visit flyjax.com for more information.
The game may be over, but the excitement is just beginning. The Jaguars played a great game, and J-Tech is proud to be part of a community that supports our team. But before we go, let's take a moment to talk about an important part of our community, tradesmen and women. J-Tech believes that everyone deserves the opportunity to learn valuable skills and build a successful career. They're proud to support the Jaguars and our community by offering high-quality trades education. Learn more at jtech.org.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gates frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Cancer patients across the Southeast make Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center in Jacksonville their first choice for treatment. Dr. Jonathan Milquist explains why.
We have so many resources that can help a patient from the very onset, and we just have a degree of unity and cohesive care that is hard to match. It's especially with the tougher cancers that we really excel.
Appointments available now. Call 844-632-2278.
Jaguars Scoreboard Show. Scoreboard Show continues right now.
Welcome back, JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey. The Scoreboard Show continues. 355-NFL-1, the number 355-6351 after a Jaguars win in Detroit 25-7. Jags backups knock out the Lions backups, and the defense played well. The offense had some key moments in this game, and we've got some calls, Mike.
We do, and we'll start at 355-NFL-1 with John in Callahan, first up on the Scoreboard Show. Hi, John. How are you?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. I'm kind of missing Bucky. You know what I mean? But I've noticed one thing. Beathard was moving through his progressions better than Rourke. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on that, but I'll take it at that. Have a good day, gentlemen.
Appreciate the call. Yeah, Doug Peterson after the game in the press conference definitively said that C.J. Beathard is the backup, Rourke is number 3.
I'll say this, though. If you complete 10 out of 12, how bad could you have been on reading your progressions? You completed 10 of your 12 dropbacks.
Fine, yeah.
You know, that. So, look, there are plenty of reasons, and we've highlighted them ever since Nathan Rourke started, particularly after last week. You know, it's been a talking point this week that C.J. Beathard has a lot going for him in here, that they chose him to come back and be the guy. Nathan Rourke is kind of surprising to put himself even in the conversation, but I don't think, to my eyes, he has performed better on the field. Now, there's more that goes into it than that. He's also playing later in the game. You could be playing against third-teamers as opposed to second-teamers. And you could tell today when they brought Beathard back out to start the second half today. So it wasn't like, you're going to get a half, you're going to get a half. Let's see what you got. That was a little bit of a signal right there. Trevor Lawrence has a great relationship with C.J. Beathard, and he's a good sounding board. He's played in the league. You know, it hasn't been a Pro Bowler, but you don't have to be. Some of the best coaches are guys that were just, you know, mediocre players that really had to overachieve to stick around. And I'm not trying to call C.J. mediocre. I'm just pointing out that you don't have to be a superstar to have a critical eye that can help the quarterback who's the starter, you know, see something he may have missed, watching film, things like that. They gave him the 2-year deal. You know, so I think it's a fair question to ask, though. Is there a quarterback competition for the backup spot? Doug shut it down, so there isn't one. And but, I mean, good for Nathan Rourke to even put himself in a position to have us talking about him at all, JP, other than, you know, it's mop-up duty. Who cares? This guy's not going to – has no prayer of making the team. I don't know if he'll have a realistic shot to make the 53 because we talk about – and Tony Smith and I talked about it this week on Jaguars Today. Tony brought up the point, you know, you look at how many of these down-to-the-wire spots you've got. And if you're going to keep an extra corner, where does that take away from? And if you're keeping 4 tight ends and if you're keeping 6 wide receivers – and if you're keeping 4 running backs, all of those are positions that sometimes you keep 1 less than that. And it seems like they're all trending towards the max. Probably not going to leave you a whole lot of wiggle room to try to slide a guy on who you hope would never take a snap for you.
That's the point, right? Like if 16 is out, then there are bigger issues, right?
Bigger issue. And even beyond that, like long-term, okay, could he be the long-term backup? Maybe, but again, you're hoping that is a total emergency type situation and that Trevor Lawrence is never going to give way to any of these guys. So it's a good story and good for him. And you know what? If it's not here in Jacksonville and the Jags do waive him and try to get him on the practice squad and somebody puts in a claim, they're going to have to put him on the active roster. And good for him for even putting himself into that kind of a conversation. But I hope that if that's the Jags' desire, that they can get him through it. He can continue to develop here, and then maybe one day down the line he does become the backup to Trevor Lawrence, or he becomes a guy that we go, hey, remember Nathan Rourke, whatever happened to him, you know, because I don't think anybody really expected this to even be a talking point at this point in the preseason.
No, he was a CFL guy, played a couple of years. Last year was his big year there. And
struggled early in the offseason as well with accuracy, right? So, you know, we're seeing a better version of him. And in fact, though, Trent Baalke did praise him during a recent interview for his accuracy and what he's seen. That's the thing that stood out to him. So he's definitely gotten better, and you would expect that because he set a CFL record with like a 78-point-something completion percentage. But, you know, good story, but that's likely all it is.
355 NFL 1, the number 355-6351. Let's take a timeout. More of your calls when we return. The Jaguars win 25-7 over the Lions. It's the Scoreboard Show on Jaguars Radio.
Brooks Rehabilitation has more than 50 years of experience serving the North Florida community with cutting-edge rehabilitation care, ranging from joint replacements, sports injuries, and balance issues to traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and strokes. Their highly trained clinical teams span across their system of care to include inpatient, outpatient, skilled nursing, assisted living and memory care, home health, and adaptive community programs. Learn more at brooksrehab.org. Brooks is proud to be the rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, it's Salem from Travel Camp RV, the official RV dealer of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I wanted to personally invite you to come shop with us. With locations throughout the Southeast, we're likely not far from you. We offer the nation's top RV brands. You can expect value pricing from the get-go and guaranteed best financing options. You can also find us online at travelcamp.com. Our mission is simple: to help more families make more great memories in an RV. Travel Camp RV. We've had the pleasure of doing this since 1982.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
When it comes to water, choose our team, the winning team. Choose CGC Water Treatment. CGC Water Treatment works, and it works for DG too. Former Jags QB, David Garrard.
If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Discover the Kinetico difference.
Call CGC Water Treatment at 844-CGC-JAGS or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and your local independent Kinetico dealers.
Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans that cover over 6,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call the MVPs at CarShield for their best coverage ever. Call 800-471-1223. 800-471-1223. Go Jags!
Welcome back. The Scoreboard Show continues. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios in Jacksonville after a Jags win in Detroit, 25-7. 355 NFL 1, the number, 355-6351. Your calls the next 30 minutes or so. On X, a post on X is what they call them now. They're no longer tweets.
Man, that's what they call them.
They do call them that. Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks tweeting after the game, or posting after the game, that Devon Hamilton is on crutches leaving the locker room. It's the first we've seen of it this week. It was after Doug spoke. Hamilton has been dominant this camp, but is not moving well right now. He didn't play today, and we don't think he warmed up today. That's Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks just now, right after the game. And, boy, that adds a whole different level of things to the injury bug today. I'm with him. I don't remember seeing that in camp this week. Who knows if something happened today? Whatever. Fadakasi was banged up on the practice field in Detroit. Now Hamilton's on crutches. We know what the offensive line's going on. That's a lot happening. A lot, and that would be a huge blow to this defense. He's a guy that they were counting on for a whole lot in the middle.
They think he's one of the big breakout players of this team this year. He signed a nice contract this year in the 8 figures annually, and really you look at the top guys, if he becomes a guy who can get you 6 to 8 sacks, he is going to be vastly underpaid by the standards of the top defensive tackles in the league. So first we're hearing about it. But again, now, we were talking about on the break there, JP, the Jags were remarkably healthy last year. In fact, their last 2 playoff seasons were remarkably healthy. And, odds are it's not going to go quite the same way this year. You just hope it's not the frontline guys. And, look, we're still 3 weeks out, 3 weeks and a day before they need to have these guys ready to take on the Indianapolis Colts. And they know what they have in Devon Hamilton. I think they know what they have in Foley Fatukasi. But, hopefully, you could be on crutches today. 2 weeks from now, that may be a different story. Let's hope that that's the case because, while that's a deep group, you can thin that out very quickly if you're putting like Adam Gotsis and Raymond Vahasek into your starting lineup. Ledbetter played well today. You've got Tyler Lacey, Michael Dogby, but not a whole lot proven there. Right. Potential. Gotsis, your most experienced guy, and let's hope he's not forced into the starting lineup due to one of these injuries.
Yeah, Vahasek's really a true nose, and he didn't play in this offseason program. He finally got on the field in training camp for the first time. So talking to Brinson Buckner a couple weeks ago, it's like, hey, he's a little behind just because he hasn't played, and he finally flashed one day in practice with a couple tackles for loss, so he's got a little something to him. But he's a later-round draft pick. It's kind of – you got to develop him and get him ready. So I don't think you're going to put the whole farm on him.
No, not the whole thing. But I'll say this. Talking with Pete Prisco this week about him, he said he was the guy that stood out to him. Thinks he moves well, and he's got some tenacity to his game, which you need if you're going to play nose tackle in this league. But, again, look, we're just hearing about this, about Devon Hamilton. We don't know anything more than what you just read, and obviously he's not moving well if he's on crutches, but let's hope it's a short-term thing rather than a long-term thing. So both sets of linemen getting bit a little bit with the injury bug.
No doubt. We know all about the offensive line things that have happened this week and even in the game today. Cooper Hodges, no official word on his injury. I'm sure we'll find out the next day or two whenever Doug Peterson speaks to the media again. On some of these injury updates, they are piling up a little bit. 355-NFL-1, the number, 355-6351.
Another guy who flashed again for the second week in a row is Ventrell Miller. Had another sack.
And Doug Peterson said it before the game in our conversation. Hey, he's a name that he actually called out. I want to see Ventrell Miller play and step up a little bit bigger. And another guy who hadn't had a lot of time in the offseason program finally has in training camp, and a guy who's played a lot of football in his time in college, so let's see it in the NFL. And he had some moments today.
Yeah, had a couple of tackles. Obviously, the sack, which is, where he gets the tackle for loss and the quarterback hit all in that play. But that's 2 weeks in a row. This is a team that's kind of thirsty for pass rush productivity. They had some pass rush today. But, look, in the end, you could point to all the analytics from last year of most quarterback. I saw a stat they – were the team with that led the league in knocking the quarterback down. Not when he had the football, right? That helps. It's good. Pressure rate is good. Sacks are ultimately better because those are the plays. Not only do you have a big loss, but they're the ones where you can create the turnovers on more than just about anything out there. So, look, he's trying to find his way. The crowded competition on the interior linebacker positions as well with Muma and Quarterman in the mix there, but I would feel pretty good about myself putting myself on the coach's radar once again for Ventrell Miller.
So, Jaguars get it done 25-7 over the Lions. Plenty to discuss. We're back in a moment. More of your calls as well. Phone lines open, 355-NFL-1, 355-6351. This is the Scoreboard Show on Jaguars Radio.
Brooks Rehabilitation is hiring nurses who want to be empowered as advocates, educators, care coordinators, and leaders in exceptional patient care. They have open RN, LPN, HHA, and CNA positions across their inpatient, skilled nursing, and home health care settings. Join their nationally recognized team, where you'll serve as a central team member doing what you do best, providing exceptional patient care. Apply at careers.brooksrehab.org.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in New Orleans and Pittsburgh. Watch them win in Houston and Nashville. All the other Jaguars games are just one short connection away. And if airport parking has you stressed, be sure to visit the Jax Airport website before traveling to the terminal. On it, you'll find information about the status of on-airport parking in real time. See if your favorite areas are available or if you need to call an audible. Visit flyjax.com for more information.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguar sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguar sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Hey, Jaguars fans, are you tired of being late to the game because you're stuck in traffic or circling the lot looking for a parking spot? Join the thousands of other Jags fans who already know the smartest way to get to Everbank Stadium is on JTA's Game Day Express. Shuttles run from various locations around Jacksonville, including the Kings Avenue parking garage near downtown. Buy single game or season passes exclusively on the MyJTA mobile app starting at just $10. The JTA Game Day Express. It's like winning before the game even starts.
Your hometown gate now has more ways to save. Introducing My Gate Rewards, a new loyalty program with member-exclusive savings and fuel discounts. Earn points on in-store purchases, take advantage of special offers, and save on products you love. Score free coffee, fountain drinks, pizza, and soft serve with Gate's frequent shopper clubs. Then use your points on savings at the pump. Download the My Gate Rewards app in the App Store today or ask a store associate for more information. Go from good to Gate.
Welcome back, JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the bank. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, Jaguars win it, 25-7.
Also, JP Shadrick and Mike Dempsey.
Oh, that's us, yes.
That's us. That's right.
In case you forgot.
You know, I feel like it's an odd position to be in, right? As you're starting to get whittled down on your depth a little bit. And it may not, we don't know the long-term ramifications of almost any of these injuries, other than to hear that Josh Wells is out for a while.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to hear crutches. You don't want to hear cart. You don't want to hear
moving slowly,
a
knee
while.
brace, right? All these things, and you don't want to hear it clustered in position groups. Talking about Devon Hamilton on crutches, Henry Mondu is already banged up. So, like on the Jags' own official depth chart, that makes 7th round pick Raymond Vahasek the next man up at nose. Foley Fatukasi had an injury-marred first season with the Jags. They say should be okay in a couple weeks, but anything having to do with the foot when you got a guy that big and it's a heel issue, you hope that that's the case. You know, holding our breath on Cooper Hodges, but it doesn't look great. We saw Kai Stevens report that it was a patella injury. That doesn't necessarily make it any better than like an ACL or anything like that. You know,
it's only minor if it's not happening to you.
Correct. So, you know, all we can do is wait and see. But the dynamic is now these are starting to accumulate. You're coming up on your final preseason game where usually you'd say, okay, at least now we're going to put everybody in bubble wrap and get ready for the regular season. Well, it's not the case, and I understand, and I do think they took the right approach with the way they got into quality practice this week. They got their starters some action last week as well. And eventually you're going to have to go out there and play football. And whatever Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence and company think they need to get ready, that's what they're going to do. I'm sure there's some guys that are probably like, hey, look, just get me to Indianapolis. I don't need anything, you know. But Doug's going to steer this ship the way he sees fit. And let's just keep our fingers crossed. Not only look, I don't want anybody in this 90-man roster to get hurt, certainly, but if you're looking at the practical reality of how it can impact the team, when you get 2 or 3, even if it's your depth, then maybe it doesn't impact your front line on the offensive line right now, but you're an injury away from a big question mark. And right now, the defensive line is a little bit in flux as well. And this is a team that needs to improve its pass rush. We talked about Devon Hamilton has been one of the most outstanding guys at any position this offseason in that regard.
And, that interior group is highly paid for a reason. They think that group can really set the tone on defense, push the pocket, like you said, in the pass rush, and be very stout against the run.
Yeah.
And now you got 2/3 of them apparently injured.
Again, 3 weeks to go, but that's why we just don't know, right?
Yeah.
And that will be until we get more definitive word on some of this stuff, which they don't really have to give you any kind of definitive word. I do feel like Doug Peterson's pretty open about things. We know the specifics of some stuff. Like, I feel when he gives you with Josh Wells, it's going to be a while and doesn't tell you what the injury is. Like that,
it's going to be a while.
That's
right.
worrisome,
Yeah.
right? And so let's hope when we get word on Devon Hamilton that it's something a little bit more definitive. We think it's going to be a couple weeks, whatever, even if it's a month. I want some kind of definitive timeline for a healthy return for Devon Hamilton, so hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Hope so. They're starting to pile up a little bit here. Jaguars do get a win today, 25-7, the final score. Jags over the Lions. On the offensive side, we've touched on that 5th, 6th wide receiver spot, the final wide receiver spot, let's say. And there were a few guys that flashed in this game again today. Some of the same familiar names we've been talking about for a couple weeks. This was their moment to really step up and play. And on the offensive side, they did. We'd have to go kind of ask the special teams coaches what they thought about the gunner play, and that's really where they're going to make the team. But, hey, they stood out in a big way today, some of these receivers on the offensive side especially.
They did. You're putting yourself in a position to be noticed here, but the reality is whatever they do as receivers here, they're going to have a very minimal impact. Whoever is that last guy, and the last 2, you can lump Parker Washington in there unless, again, you get a wave of injuries at that position. The top 4 are very clear-cut. I think there's a clear separation in terms of talent level and expected productivity. So, special teams is important, and that is going to be the primary thing that puts these guys. They can all make plays in the passing game. We've seen it on the practice field pretty consistently with a number of these guys, Cooks, Williams, Jones. I don't want to leave anybody out. Harris as well. They've all at times looked like the best option among that group. So that's good. So it really does come down to what does Heath Farwell need out of one of these guys, and what does he think he can get out of them?
Yeah. Or, hey, is a tight end playing better on teams and they keep an extra tight, that there's those considerations as well.
Yeah, which is interesting you bring that up because let me look through the box here one more time.
There were a handful of those guys that got some time today.
Garrett Prince, 2 catches for 12 yards on 3 targets today. So, he was a guy, again, it was just unstoppable for about a week's worth of practices, and every day, multiple touchdown day, red zone, first team, second team action. It was just almost uncoverable at times in the red zone. Hasn't quite translated to these preseason games. I'm not saying that, he's had all the great opportunities, but it is what it is. We're talking about, hey, Tim Jones, he only had 2 targets, but he caught 1 and it went for 48 yards. So, and those brief opportunities, he made a big play. I do believe right now I would bet on 4 guys because I think if you were just to roll it out there, Garrett Prince might be your best pure receiving option after Evan Ingram. But, Brenton Strange has shown a few good things in that department as well. So some position or 2 are going to get squeezed on the numbers game.
And going back to our wide receiver discussion, Jacob Harris, right, a name we've been mentioning.
Yeah.
A special teams tackle and an assisted special teams tackle today as well. Honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember those plays. But when you're showing up in the special teams stat sheet like that and getting guys to the ground and you're around it, okay, let's see how it looks on tape, but at least you're in that conversation, and you're in the mix in some of those plays. We're back in a moment, Mike. Our final thoughts coming up after Jaguars win 25-7 over the Detroit Lions. We'll wrap it up after this. It's the Scoreboard Show on Jaguars Radio.
Who will your child grow up to be? Well, that depends on all of us. That's why, along with our groundbreaking medical care, Nemours Children's Health supports programs that address issues like food insecurity and the resources essential to learning. It's all part of creating a healthier future for all children. So they can grow up to be whoever they want to be. Nemours Children's Health, well beyond medicine.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The game may be over, but the excitement is just beginning. The Jaguars played a great game, and J-Tech is proud to be part of a community that supports our team. But before we go, let's take a moment to talk about an important part of our community, tradesmen and women. J-Tech believes that everyone deserves the opportunity to learn valuable skills and build a successful career. They're proud to support the Jaguars and our community by offering high-quality trades education. Learn more at jtech.org.
Hey, Jaguars fans, are you tired of being late to the game because you're stuck in traffic or circling the lot looking for a parking spot? Join the thousands of other Jags fans who already know the smartest way to get to Everbank Stadium is on JTA's Game Day Express. Shuttles run from various locations around Jacksonville, including the Kings Avenue parking garage near downtown. Buy single game or season passes exclusively on the MyJTA mobile app starting at just $10. The JTA Game Day Express. It's like winning before the game even starts.
As the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Publix is helping fans gear up for game day with the limited-time Jaguars sub. Piled high with hot deli chicken tenders, boar's head bacon, cheddar cheese, coleslaw, and barbecue mayonnaise on a white sub roll. The Jaguars sub is an easy, delicious meal for any fan. Make it an ultimate game day by ordering the Jaguars sub online for in-store pickup. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com. Welcome back. Final moments of the Scoreboard Show after a Jaguars win over the Lions 25-7. J.P. Shadrick, Mike Dempsey. The Jags get it done, but the injury bug biting a bit today. Cooper Hodges during the game, the rookie guard from Appalachian State and Baker County High, is injured. Had to leave the game on a cart with a right knee injury. And then after the game, Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks tweeting out that Devon Hamilton is on crutches leaving the locker room. He did not play in the game today. No word on when that happened, but some of the big guys starting to pile up. There were some offensive line injuries this week. That'll be priority number one this week. Hey, what's happening with the injuries? What's the latest? Next time Doug Peterson talks, hopefully we'll have some clearer answers on some timetables for these guys. And then it's dress rehearsal week.
Yes.
Preseason week 3, he plans to play the starters for a couple of quarters, see how it goes, and go from there, get a game plan maybe installed a little bit, and then go play the Dolphins.
Hey, Trev, how about 2 quick touchdown drives and get the heck out of Dodge, all right?
A couple of screen passes, some handoffs.
Screen pass, slips a block and goes 75 yards for the score, JP. What an efficient drive that was. Look, we're at where we're at. It is what it is. Whatever cliche you want to throw out there, injuries
Win in Rome.
happen.
Win in Rome.
Sports. When in Rome, we're in Rome, and in Rome, you got to have your backups ready to play.
It's true.
I mean, that's just the way it is in the National Football League. Jags were very fortunate on this front last year. It's not any kind of a death sentence or anything. We don't know the extent of a lot of these things. And, for the most part, a lot of these guys are reserves, but, could be key reserves. There's still guys projected to be on the 53-man roster, so your depth comes into question, and it's why we always ask you, other than staying healthy, because that's the number one priority. Rather be 100% healthy. Would you rather have had them stink today, the backups, and everybody come out healthy, including Devon Hamilton, who we didn't know about? To me, I would say yes, right? I'd rather be on the reverse end of this score today. But, look, they played the way they played. The backups dominated Detroit's backups, and let's just hope for the best on the injury front.
Jaguars are off Sunday and then back at it Monday, as are you, Mike.
Yeah, this week got the full lineup of guests. Myself and Tony Smith will welcome in David Garrard on Monday, Jeff Lageman on Tuesday, John Ogier on Wednesday, Mike DeRocco on Thursday, Tom McManus on Friday. So we'll be in regular season mode beginning Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a lineup.
It's a pretty good lineup.
10 to 12.
10 to noon, 1010XL. You know where to find us.
And, of course, we'll have Jags AM Monday morning on Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, and then it's Jaguars Happy Hour Monday afternoon, 4 to 6. Pete Prisco, Tony Baselli will get their thoughts on everything going on. And, hey, looking forward to preseason week 3. Tickets available, 633-2000, Jaguars.com/tickets. We'll see you Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. We'll go on the air on the network at 6 with countdown to kickoff. Let's see, that'd be 4 o'clock for the Publix Tailgate Show. I was told there would be no math tonight.
I'll be here either way. Just let me know when it's
Had to count backwards. That's Mike Dempsey. I'm JP Shadrick. Thanks to our entire crew, and thanks to you for listening. It's the Scoreboard Show on Jaguars Radio.